about to destroy my world!
Big, juicy pecs have always come easy to me, and it's because I did a lot of dips early on. I'm your host, Bald Omni-Man, and welcome to a new series where I show you some awesome alternatives to classic exercises. I taught myself a specific way of doing dips, and if you do them my way, you'll get better results even faster. I'll also show you a few simple ways to include them in your training program as well. Fellas, I'm fired up, but why don't we start off with the obvious? Bench press is amazing. I love bench press. Who doesn't? But the sad truth is, most of us can't get a full range of motion for our pecs doing them with the barbell. Dips, on the other hand, give you a full range of motion on the pecs. They're stable, they're heavily loadable just like the bench, and if you ask me, they look just as cool. How good bench press ultimately is comes down to how long your arms are. Shorter arm means less stretch, which leaves folks running to the dumbbell press for more usually, which, not gonna lie, is certainly a great alternative as well. But for most people, a dumbbell press just ends up becoming sanctioned ego lifting. In fact, a good rule of thumb is this: if your combined dumbbell press load isn't a good bit less than your flat bench, say 80-85%, this might be you. But don't worry though, check out this video from good friend Sam for more info on avoiding that with dumbbell presses. But dips are way easier to set up than dumbbell pressing, and you still get that fuller range of motion on top of that. You also fully free up your back and shoulders, and that'll keep you feeling less snapped up. This isn't really possible fully with anything besides push-ups. Another underrated benefit to dips is how well they strengthen your pec minor. It's this sushi-sized muscle you got in your pecs. Got this tip from John Meadows, rest in peace.
Now underneath your pec major, you have a little muscle called your pec minor. It actually originates at your third, fourth, and fifth rib, and it actually travels kind of back and attaches to your coracoid process that's on your scapula. So it's kind of the opposite of this. Like your rhomboids and your traps do this does the opposite. This does this. So what we do is we do a dip, and where we try to keep our arms straight, we flex. You pick yourself up and you flex.
This isn't a big muscle, hence the name, but having it stronger just keeps you more injury resistant. Speaking of strength, let's talk about how to do dips, my style, to get jacked, stacked, and strong. The first part of an effective dip is your setup, and a lot of folks neglect bracing their core. That simple act alone puts you in a position to spare your shoulders, which keeps things pain-free, even with extreme ranges of motion. But it also puts you into that coveted push-up position that makes dips feel absolutely incredible. Now keep in mind, I'm no doctor, so please run this past a medical professional. But what I can say from personal experience is that this also mitigated sternum pain that I used to have when I did dips. Probably because it puts my shoulders in a more neutral position instead of having them pinned all the way back like they tend to be when you do dips without bracing your core. The cue for me that makes things really simple is to just push my hips back and hold them there. Then bada bing, bada boom, you have your perfect start position. The only other cue is to pause at the top and at the bottom. The pause at the top is to capitalize on the fact that the dip exposes our triceps to the most loading out of any press. So we just hang out at the top for about a second or two. As for that big old pause at the bottom, not only does that increase the time spent where our pecs are under the most tension and then under the most growth as well, it also preserves stability within the dip, which is important if you're going to be doing a whole bunch of reps. Dips are really easy to do well if you keep those things in mind. In general, I also prefer dip stations that are set higher up, just so that we can fully extend our legs. It's just more stable that way as well. And then lastly, for folks that follow all of these cues, but then they still find that they either get sternum or shoulder pain, I got another tip for you to try. Until your body is sufficiently trained, it's usually a good idea to be more gradual with your progression on dips. Meaning, instead of trying to do more weight or more reps every time, give your body 2 to 3 weeks at the same weight and rep range to become truly acclimated to the lift. And just try to limit yourself to 2 or 3 sets per session. That's usually good enough for most people. I gave you a couple of things to try. Here's one thing to avoid, and this is a really bad habit that I've observed a lot. But avoid sitting at the bottom of each rep without engaging your muscles. Basically, when we're fatigued, our body has a tendency to do whatever it can to get the weight up. And for pauses, that usually looks like releasing all tension from the muscle and relying on our joints to take the load. The problem is that the joints are designed for our muscles to support them, and vice versa. Now, this isn't the biggest deal if it's just once or twice in a blue moon, but if you make this a habit on most or many reps, might be the reason why you have some elbow, shoulder, or sternum pain. That's all she wrote for form. Now, a couple more things before I let you go. A good accompaniment to dips is incline weighted push-ups, mostly because they work a similar joint angle, but they also allow us to train the protraction, meaning rolling forward of our shoulders a little bit more than dips. And it's honestly just good for novelty not to have to do the same thing every training session. At a basic level in terms of reps, I love doing dips in anywhere between 5 and 12 reps. And if you're just starting out, man, you can make a lot of progress working within this rep range, starting at say 5, 6, 7 reps, and then once you get to 12, increasing in weight. That's a basic double progression. But for those that are a little bit more advanced, or for people that like more strength training oriented programs, I've also lately been plugging in weighted dips on a bench press style program. And if you're interested in a program that's something along those lines, check out my Beast Slayer program in the description on Boost Camp. Now, for those that want a more basic beginner style program, Raider is the program that everybody runs for that purpose. And then lastly, for those that want a more hands-on experience, Golden Warrior is the right pick for you. That's all she wrote, fellas. Now, if you enjoy this style of video, leave a like and a subscribe to let me know. And do me a favor and watch episode 1 where we cover chest supported rows. Have a great day.